Hello and welcome back to another devlog. Some time has passed and a lot has been added. I will briefly go over each edition, but for the full list of changes, please see the update channel on our Discord. Also, our next playtest is coming up this Saturday the 19th. Comment below if you'd like to access the game before it comes out. The first edition is hacking groups. When a player reaches a certain black hat reputation level, they will be sent an email with their groupmate details from a hacking group. In the email, a trial will be detailed, and upon completion, the player will have access to the hacking group's network. This network provides the player with the possibility of getting new exploit source code via the FTP server. Also, the players can interact with the hacking group's IRC chat server, where they will be able to talk with other members of the group. Moving on, when a player gets the exploit source code, they can use a new command exploit compile to compile it into the exploit's binary format. A minigame will appear with blocks that the player needs to correctly sort. Upon completion, the exploit binary will be written to bin exploits with its related exploit name. The add pf command or add port forward command has been changed to allow users to manually change the destination port number rather than doing a straight through method like how it has been used before. This is useful if you want to obfuscate which port is being used to get back to a service on the machine in your internal network. For instance, in this command, sending port 2244 on the router will be linked to the port 22 on my local machine, which allows me to use port 2244 with my public IP address to reach back to my SSH service. VPSs are a very good way to obscure your actions by coming out of a different IP rather than where you're actually coming from. You can now buy a VPS for your own use at buyavps.com, which will give you full access to a machine on the internet and access its router so you can allow or deny traffic as you wish. Remus has been upgraded with a couple new features. Firstly, it can now handle multiple sessions, which is useful if you need to perform multiple actions on multiple targets simultaneously. When you receive a callback from Revcon, you will be shown the if config of the machine Revcon has called back from. If no session is already selected, you will begin interacting with this new session by default. You can run all the normal commands you usually would run with Remus in these sessions. The only difference is you can switch between machines you're interacting with. You can background a session by tapping BG or background. This will allow you to select a different session. To do this, type interact and the session ID to begin interacting. To get a list of sessions, just type sessions. On top of this new change, you can also upload and download files using Remus. With that being said, let's move on to our new Remus GUI called Noobinator. Noobinator is a GUI for Remus which makes learning how to be a hacker a lot easier. Noobinator contains all the buttons and inputs to allow setup, exploitation, and session handling of Remus. Noobinator will run commands associated with your actions in the back end and display the results. Noobinator has 3 working tabs as of playtest 2. It has setup, collected, and exploit. The setup tab is where you will set up your Revcon and port forwarding on the router. The exploit tab is where you will throw your exploit, which will give you a session tab upon completion of the exploit puzzle. In your session tab, you can run commands with some special commands made only for Noobinator. The steal creds command will get the SE shadow file on the target and automatically crack the passwords. The dir crawl command will search through and display every directory and file on the target disk. Both of these will create an entry in the collected tab. The collected tab displays all the collected information such as files, important times, and passwords. The collect is organized by tabs at the top of the tab, which you can click on to display that session's collection. Additionally, you can upload and download files from the target. Lastly, you can disconnect and close tabs using the button on the far right. This interface aims to teach new players the right commands that should be ran to get the solutions and results that are needed to complete these jobs. It does not teach the player how to be stealthy. Noobinator is a trade-off of skill for simplicity. I personally recommend getting accustomed to the terminal with Remus as soon as possible. Moving on, I have added persistent networks to the game, which allows players to hack and secure these networks for their own use. They're good for redirection, like a free VPS, and for crypto mining. Unlike the networks associated with the jobs, these networks will not be shut down by the game. Finder.com is a game search engine. When you search for something, it will display results from websites on the internet it has parsed. If there is a match of the website content to your keywords, then the result will be displayed accordingly. Websites are parsed and cached as soon as the Apache D process is started. Only the HTML file stored in var www will be considered for parsing by Finder.com. File steal malware has been added. It listens on a local machine for modifications made to files and sends that file to its configured FTP server. The file will show up as the public IP address of that device _ and its file name. Policehits.com is where you can go to find jobs that fight against the bad guys. The jobs posted at this moment are only removing malware from the machines, but in the future more exciting possible PvP options will be added. Upon completion of jobs on this page, you will be rewarded white hat reputation. However, this will also take away from your black hat reputation. The idea behind this is players can choose which side they want to play on. Each side has their relative tools and websites they can buy from. One of these websites is the White Hat Repo, where you can find tools used to evaluate potential malware on a machine. You'll need a white hat reputation of 2 to buy both of these tools. The first one is strings, which will show the text of any file. When ran against a binary file, it will display the configuration of that binary. The second one is bin check, which when ran against a binary file will show you the type of binary file an executable is. Both of these are very useful when trying to determine if something is really what it says it is, and what it's configured to do if it is malicious. Lastly, the Black Hat repo is where you can buy malware pack files if you have a Black Hat reputation of 2 or greater. This malware pack file, when run, will give you a random malware file and then delete itself. Be cautious when running this, as it may do other things to your machine. However, the gamble is worth it if you want to build your own malware and deploy it to other machines. Thank you for tuning in to another devlog. Our playtest is coming up this Saturday on the 19th. See you there.